What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late's Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be discussing the Dallas Mavericks and whether or not they are championship contenders. Before we get into this video, I need you guys to go into the comments right now and let me know if the Mavs can make it to the finals and why. Just jumping right into this video, for starters, we're going to be discussing the Mavs Upside. Let's talk about the offseason they had and what it brought for this roster. So obviously, they had a crazy playoff run last year. They beat that 64-win Suns team in 7 games before getting whooped by the Warriors, which were inevitably champions, so it's okay. The most notable move that they made this offseason was for sure trading for Christian Wood. He's been balling out for the Mavs, averaging almost 18 and 8 in only 25 minutes off the bench. They did lose out on their emerging star point guard Jalen Brunson. He obviously, as you guys know, signed with the New York Knicks, but Spencer Dinwiddie has been doing a fine job replacing his production. He's had a really efficient start to the season. He's averaging 18 points on nearly 60% true shooting and 43% from the three-point line. Outside of the addition of Christian Wood, the only other, I guess you'd say, notable addition would be JaVale McGee, and I do have to give my props to him because he really went from a Shaq and a Fool Hall of Famer to a really serviceable backup big on so many great teams. I mean, he played with Golden State, he played with the Suns, I'm pretty sure he played with the Cavs for a year, and now he's obviously with the Mavs, and he's continuing to, when he gets the PT, he does have, you know, those 10 point, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 rebound type of nights. And outside of the players, Jason Kidd has just grown into such a great coach for this team. I did say in the beginning of the video they had that crazy playoff run, and a big part of it, outside of Luka and the players just being great, it's just that in those games Jason Kidd was able to be a great coach and a great mentor. Like I said, not all of that was Jason Kidd, but it really does help the role players get a better understanding of the system and what they're kind of doing and building on in Dallas. Right now, the lineup they run with every night is Luka at the point, Dinwiddie at the 2, Reggie Bullock at the 3, Corey Finney-Smith at the 4, and Dwight Howell at the 5. Overall, this lineup has seen the floor a good amount to start this year. I'm pretty sure they've all played at least 14 or 15 of the games. But one thing that is concerning is just the three-point percentage when you look at this roster, and it starts with Luka. I touched on this a little bit in my last video when I was talking about Luka, but the three-point woes, I know it's something that he's always had on his career, but I would like if 29% or 30 or 31 or 32% wasn't the standard. I would really like if Luka could get his efficiency up to 35, 37% even. Because it says a lot when Corey Finney-Smith, who's only taking 2 less three-pointers a game, is shooting 4% or 5% from the 3 higher than you. I understand the level of difficulty that Luka is taking. These are obviously way tougher shots, and he always has way better people guarding him, and that Corey Finney-Smith could be resulting in a lot of catch and shoot threes or a lot of wide open shots. But it just, if you're going to be the leader of a team, you have to act like how you want the peers around you to act. Like a great example of this is someone like Reggie Bullock. I know he starts most of the years in a shooting slump, but this year he's starting shooting only 30%, which is only 1% higher than Luka. And it's just not okay that 4 out of the 5 people in your starting lineup are all shooting below 34% from the 3, and only one of them, which is Spencer Dinwiddie, is shooting 43%. And thankfully he's doing it on a great volume of 7 attempts a night, and he's hitting 3 of those. But the fact is, I've seen so many of these nights where Luka's maybe 3 for 10 from 3, and then we have Reggie Bullock going 0 for 4, and then we got Corey Finney-Smith maybe going 2 for 5 on the night. Like, it just seems like it's all over the place. And that's where I have to bring up the Mavs downside. There is so many shooting slumps, and outside of Luka, there is a desperate lack of playmaking. This team averages 20 assists per game, and Luka Doncic makes up half of them. That's why the ceiling for this team, it really does get worrisome for me. If Luka goes down or if he has an off night, what really can they achieve? For me, I like to look back at the Mavs and Clippers series from 2020 and 2021. Look at how the Mavs inevitably blew these leads. I guess in 2020 it wasn't a lead. The Clippers, they were up 2-1. They were about to go up 3-1, and then Luka does a very Luka thing and hits a crazy bubble buzzer beater step back, a 3-pointer, and now the series is tied at 2 games apiece. The next 2 games, though, the Clippers continued to beat the piss out of the Mavs 2 nights in a row. I think they beat them by a margin of 40 to 60 points. I know that Luka only scored 22 points in the first one, and then in the next game, he had an amazing, efficient
38-point performance, but the Mavs still lost by 15. Then we look at the series the Clippers and the Mavs had at 2021. The Mavs, they were up 3-2 on the Clippers before losing and choking 2 games straight. Luka scored 29 points in both of these games, but the team around him was still just not enough to help. So what does it say that if Luka quote unquote struggles and scores less than 30 points a night and this team still can't get over that hump? And I understand this was 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and now every year these stats are mattering less and less, but it's just good to compare the past to what we have in front of us now. Even if we look at the more relevant playoff victories or experience that they've had in that series where they lost 5-1 against the Warriors, the only game they won by 10 points, which was obviously the only game they won in that series, Luka had a 30-point, 14-rebound triple-double and had to just carry his team to that. The average margin of victory for this Warriors team was over into the double digits. So it's hard for me to look at this roster even with the addition of Christian Wood and sit here and make a verdict, because on one hand, this team, it does deserve my respect. They're coming off a Western Conference final, and even though they got gentlemen swept, their team arguably got better this year. I understand the loss of Jalen Brunson was tough, but them getting Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie, like I said, stepping up that shooting and the efficiency this year, it's really helping the team stretch their leads. The only issue I have is that in the fourth quarter, if Luka Doncic isn't really hitting the shots that he needs to hit, and they'll sink. It's just that simple. The Dallas Mavericks are in the bottom 4 for points scored in the fourth quarter, literally coming in at 27. Having said that, my overall verdict is going to be no. The Dallas Mavericks are not title contenders right now. If you guys watched my last video or the one I talked about Trey and Luka, I'm sure you could have saw this coming. And this is not for me to hate or bash on Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, because I do think they're an incredible organization, and I do think that Luka Doncic is a generational player. However, I think until we bring someone else into the spotlight, a true second star, what they kind of were trying to do with Kristaps Porzingis, if you will, until they do that and take some of the load off Luka's shoulders, I really don't see the ceiling of this team going much higher. I love the addition of Christian Wood, and I love that this team plays at such a fast pace. However, if Luka goes down, this team is just no better than an 8 or 9 or 10 seed, and that's just the sorry truth. The truth to be told is it's just a star-studded league, and if Luka goes down, then the Mavs go down. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if this Mavs team is a contender. If you guys made it this far, you know I appreciate you as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.